Hi, we are the Gratitude Girls and we're in the house. Which house are we in? That's another story. We are having a lot of fun tonight. So we are here in our Gratitude Girls, girls who love to practice gratitude daily group.
Which
And
house
this is
is in? That's
a,
another story.
a
We
wonderful
are having a
surprise.
lot of fun tonight.
So I
So
have some
we are here
feedback
in
here,
our
Lori.
Gratitude
That's
Girls.
too funny. I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless. It's for the first time in 8 years. I'm completely speechless. Okay, so if you are here in this group tonight and you want to have a good time and hang out with us, this is what we do. We have a live private coaching and training in our group, Gratitude Girls Private Coaching and Training. And tonight, Facebook and Zoom are having a fight. And they would not let us in that group. But Zoom and Facebook allowed us to come into this group. So we are going to tell our members in the other group that we're here. And instead of an official coaching and training, what we'll do is if you're here live, we'll answer a few questions. And if not, we'll pose a few things that have been going on with us during the course of the week. And we'll do this as a gratitude, let's just say a gratitude moment. So, Lori, what I'm going to do is go into our other group and let everyone know where we are. So I'll mute my mic so you don't hear me clicking. I'll be right here, but I'll need about 30 seconds, okay?
Okay, perfect. Okay, so yes, everyone. So we go live every single Monday night in our Gratitude Girls coaching and training group. So if you've never been in that group before, then go to gratitudegirls.com/coaching. You can read all the information there about our private coaching and training group. So, but for some reason tonight, unlike every other night, Facebook decided to not let me post a video in that group, but it was letting me post it in this group. So we just decided to go ahead and we'll do our training in this group tonight. So you guys get it free besides our other paid members who normally get this. And we're just going to do it here tonight. And then hopefully we can get this figured out with Facebook for next week for our regular coaching and training. But one thing we are talking about, we always talk about gratitude, of course, but we're also talking about a lot of people in our group, in our coaching and training group, are in sales. They're an entrepreneur of some sort. So we're talking about different sales tips and strategies. And so tonight we're going to talk about a couple different tips. So one is about being a robot. So the robot salesperson, don't always talk to every client the exact same way. The next tip we're going to talk about is if discussing money makes you uncomfortable. So you might be super confident in your product or your product or your whatever you offer, but when it comes down to asking for the sale or asking for the money, then all of a sudden you get uncomfortable. And so you might start to slouch or something. Your verbal expressions, your demeanor shows up differently. So that can be another way that you don't make the sale. And then the final tip is going to be don't quit before you win. So many people, they get so close to making the sale, to winning, whatever that is, and then they quit right before they win. So those are the 3 tips that we're going to kind of go over with tonight. And so we'll go in depth and a little bit more on each one of those.
Right. So I want to tell you about my workaround, talk about tips. I just took this live and I shared it in our private coaching and training group. So we're actually live in that group as well. So yay, look at that. Talk about what we're doing. Okay, let's talk about money. Let's talk about discovering money, discussing it. Okay, we can discover money. Discussing it makes you uncomfortable. What I'd like to know is, do you touch money? In this day and age, do you touch plastic? How do you check your money? Are you on an app on your phone? And are you checking your bank account? Are you checking your Stripe account, your Square account, wherever you get money from in your business? what do you do with it? What is the relationship? Remember when we were younger and we would talk to our friends, and we were, if we're girls, maybe not too comfortable about talking with boys, boys not talking with girls. So we're a little uncomfortable about it. And we would get nervous and get butterflies in our stomach. And then eventually, as we grew up and had more experience, we knew that we could have those conversations. Let's think about money as that boy if we're a girl, or that girl if we're a boy. That other person, it doesn't even have to be a boy or girl. So let's be like politically correct. That other person that we might be uncomfortable speaking with. But as we warmed up, we became more comfortable. So, what do you do with money to be comfortable? How do you talk about it? How do you use it in your life? How do you put it to work for you? Is money something that you take and you just give so that it's gone every time you see it? Or is money something that you place and then it gives back to you? I'm curious if you have that relationship. Remember when we had piggy banks? Do you have piggy bank now? Do you have a place to store something special? Do you have money that has a signature or that is written on? Do you have a little stash of money somewhere? So that way on a rainy day, or if you leave the house, you always know you have bus money, as they would call it, money for the subway, money for a cab, just in case, a little extra gas money, you know, those cliches we used to talk about. Are we now what? Oh, let me see if I can do this quick. Now, are we pulling out? Let's see if I can do it. Pulling out plastic. Is that what we do for money? What is it that we, who is it? What is it that we have this relationship with? So when we talk about money, is it, I don't want to talk about that thing because it's just something I never have enough of? Or yes, every day money flows into my life. These are the things we can ask ourselves. And if we're uncomfortable, what do we do to get less uncomfortable? If I put on a shirt and it's too tight, I have a choice. I can throw the shirt out, buy a new one, or fit into it. I can adapt and adjust. If I always say, this thing hurts me, I don't want to wear it, and I'm always making it a problem, it's always going to be a problem for me. If I figure out a way to discuss money, if I figure out a way to solve the problem, then am I a problem solver? And will money become a tool, something that I can use and utilize and teach others? So, Lori, what do you do with money? Do you keep it, hoard it? I know you spend it. Spend it. I'll let you tell that story.
Yes. Yes. Anybody that knows me knows I'm a good spender. I'm one of those, you know, they say to make money to increase the economy, you put money back out into the world, right? So I'm doing my part of that process.
I love that. Somebody's got to do it, Lori. Let it be you. Let it be everybody, not just you. We should all take a lesson out of that page in that book from you.
Right, exactly. You know, but yes, I do totally believe though in saving money also. So like right now we are looking at, you know, doing the renovations on the other house. And so we are working with the bank and we're looking at, do we want to do a 30-year? Do we want to do a 20-year? Do we want to do a 15-year, a 10-year, etc.? And so, and we're looking at the interest rate difference and we're looking at the monthly payment difference and, you know, the overall interest in the end. And I look at all those numbers, and especially because I have an accounting degree and that's what I used to do for a living, I'm looking at the fastest way to zero. I'm looking at who do I pay the least amount of interest to, right? And so, and then my husband, sometimes he looks at, well, I want to pay the lowest amount right now because we are doing all these renovations. And then we are going to be refurnishing the entire house because basically all the furniture we bought for this house, we've already given away. And so we're going to have to buy furniture again for the other new house. And so, you know, so he's looking at, well, let's just not spend as much money monthly, you know, and then we'll make it up later on. And I'm looking at the numbers long time down the road. But so that's the same thing, difference of personalities too. And so, but like one big thing, you know, that I was thinking when you were talking, Catherine, is for our listeners, think of like what she said. Like if you didn't hear it, or even if you did, rewind this and play it again to listen to what she said. And when you listen to it, think of how you felt inside when she mentioned the word money, right? When you first mention it, how do you feel inside? Like immediately, are you slouching over? Are you, you know, does your demeanor change? Are you like, yeah, it's a great thing. It moves the world. You know, I can do lots of things. I can buy nice and pretty things with it and shiny things. And I can give away to people who need it. And I can make it work for me. I can do some work and I can make some money. And the more work I do, or the more strategically way I do work, the more money I can make. So think of the different ways that you think about money when it's just talked about. And then the next thing I want to talk about is think about the last sale that you did not make with someone. So no matter what product or service you sell, think about that and think about your last sale that you missed and think about your process through it. Like, were you really confident in the product or service you offer? And then, but then when it came down to, okay, it's time to close the sale, and say your sale's $5,000, right? So then does your customer have to ask you how much it costs? Do you piddle around before you bring up the amount? You know, oh, well, we've got these different options, and, you know, what do you think? Or do you like not even get to that part? Do you like tell all the great benefits and the features and all that, and then just kind of sit there and wait for the prospect?
Lori, I love what you said, the fastest way to zero. I'm so like enamored with that. The fastest way to zero interest, to zero extra payments, the fastest way to zero of wasting any money. I love that. I feel like that is the title of a new book.
That's
Totally
a good
love it.
title, right?
Right? Let's write that down. The fastest way to zero. We won't forget that. So when we talk about money, when we talk about how you feel, when we talk about what you make and the sale that we just missed, were you talking to the right person? Do you spend your time speaking to the right people? Or did you miss the sale because you were talking to a cat owner about a dog bed? And is a dog bed and a cat bed different? So you could have said all the great things, never got to the price, but been speaking to the wrong person about the wrong thing. Asking the questions definitely puts us in control. Asking the right questions to the right person helps us serve better. So if we don't ask the question about the sale, if we don't get to the pricing, if we don't know if we're talking to the right, imagine if I speak to Lori about saving money to one day buy a house, and Lori's already like on another house. Well, I'm talking to the wrong person about that because she's already in the flow. So if I didn't ask questions and say, so I know you just moved into your house, so you're probably going to stay there. If I start assuming, I don't want to say it the other way. If I start assuming, then I am assuming things without asking. So if we never made that last sale, were we asking the right questions? And did we know who we were talking to? Did we have enough background? Not just about us and our product and this amazing Lululemon water bottle that's worth every penny because the water just never spills. Well, I won't tip this over on my keyboard, even if it is guaranteed to never spill, because I'm just not that kind of girl. I like dropping shea butter all over my keyboard. That's where I get into the action. But that's another story. So, Lori, I think it's important to be in front of the right people.
Yes, definitely. And then also, you know, when you get to, you know, the end of the time when it's time to start giving the sale, giving the price, going over the options that they can choose, right? The same thing, think of how your demeanor becomes, because, you know, you think about, like, remember they talk about like dogs or horses. If you're going to go ride a horse, if you're afraid, the horse feels it.
Right.
Right? If you go up to a dog and you're afraid, the dog senses that. They feel it. Well, humans sense that also. And if you appear or you're kind of not really that confident in your sale, then the humans you're talking to can sense that subconsciously also. And it can also give them that you're not convinced of the value of your product or service. So you're trying to sell your product or service for $5,000, but your demeanor changes once you give all the features and benefits. So you are solid, you're confident there, and then it changes and you have a shift. And you might not even notice it, and the customer might not even actively notice it, but they subconsciously notice it, and they immediately think, well, maybe that's not the real value of what you're offering, right? So that's what you put off into the atmosphere, so to speak.
I love that. If we're not showing and demonstrating the value. So Lori, if I'm not demonstrating the value that this key to this desk will give you a value besides a key to a desk and a drawer, if I'm not able to demonstrate that to you, then what do you really need this bronze key for? You can get a aluminum key. What makes this so different? So you're right. We really need to be clear about the value proposition, so that customer knows what are they getting. Not what do they have to do, not what do they have to spend, but what are they getting? Why will this make my life different? Why will this lotion or potion or book or key or water bottle or blouse or piece of jewelry, what will this do? Will this make me sparkle and feel beautiful? Will this remind me of the circles in my life? What will it do for me? Is it so unique and so different that it will grab my emotion with a positive emotional attachment that I then can go and forget about how much money it's going to cost and just go and buy it or spend it? Think about your single most biggest purchase, a house, maybe a plane. I don't know. Let's say it's a house for all intents and purposes. It's a big emotional purchase, even with the left brain and looking at the numbers and the quickest way to zero. Remember, Lori Del Credecchi said it right here, the quickest way to zero interest, zero extra payments. That's what this gratitude girl thinks about. So what happens if you really don't have a handle on the entire situation? What happens if you back away just 2 seconds before you could have made the sale? What if you don't instill that confidence because you lost the confidence in yourself? But if I'm in this business 2 seconds before you, or 2 minutes, I'm that much smarter than you are about this business, which means that I can have the confidence that I would know more, even if it's just a little bit more, even if it's 2 minutes, even if you signed up 5 minutes after me, I joined ahead of you. And I must know something 5 minutes before you did. So you can look for the small steps in confidence. Don't compare yourself to the big companies out there. Look at what you're capable of doing and look at the value that you bring and the proposition, the value proposition that that customer will have as a result of doing business with you, buying your lotion or your potion or whatever it is, your service. I really want us to think about that, because when we're out there making sales, talking to people, not even asking them about their life and just asking them to buy, oh, we're burning bridges. We really are. We're not building bridges when we do that. What about quitting, Lori, just before striking gold? What about those gold digger, gold miner people going out there looking for gold, drilling, and then what if they said, oh, I think I'll go home. Nothing happened today. What would John Paul Getty say about that?
Yes, exactly. And that's it. So many people quit right before they make the sale, right before they become a millionaire, right before they get the biggest team, right? So, one thing we teach that I heard this one time and I've taught it several times is take a deck of cards, put them on your desk. Every time you do a sales presentation, you flip over a card. So you're not going to even talk to me till you get through 52 sales presentations, right? Now, of course, I do still talk to my team through that process, but it's just for a matter of speech, because through that 52 card deck, through 52 sales presentations, some will say yes, some will say no, some will say maybe later or not now, right? Then of those that say yes, then there's going to be a couple twos, there's going to be a couple sevens, there's going to be a couple nines, there might even be a jack or two, there might be a king, and then there's going to be a couple aces, right? So you want to keep finding your aces. So you might not find your aces in the first or the 10th person that you sign up, right? And how many presentations do you have to do before you get 10 people to sign up? So you want to do that and go through them and not think about the others. If you worry about what they are doing rather than like signing up more people or going after more people, then you're going to slow down your process and filling your pipeline, so to speak. The more people you talk to, the more you're going to fill your pipeline, right? And then you let what you've done do the process. You still want to train the people that you have signed up, and you still want to work with them, but you don't want to babysit them. There's a difference, right? Just like when you have a child, if you've ever had a child before, when they get to be somewhere between 10 months to 2 years, somewhere in there, they're learning how to walk. So, I've seen lots of people walk around carrying their 4-year-old. Now, every once in a while, yes, it's cool to carry your 4-year-old. I've done it before also. But to do it all the time when they have 2 feet that are perfectly capable of taking them, and you help them to walk, right? Just like the eagle in the nest. The little eaglets, if Mama Eagle coddles them too much, they're never going to learn how to fly. She has to push them to the edge of the nest and go poof, and watch them fly. And when they go, then Mama catches them and flies up under them and picks them up and lifts them up to safety, right? Because she still protects them. She still watches over them, but she doesn't huddle over them.
I love that example. I know we're going to keep this to business, but we happen to have a robin outside our window who built a nest. And let me give you an example. She was really bad at building that nest. That mama robin, I was worried. The whole nest fell on the floor. She did it the next day. The nest fell on the floor. She did it the 3rd day. It fell on the floor. The 4th day, it started to stay up there. I was thinking, you've got to get good at this. This is for your little baby eggs there. Finally, this robin built a really good nest, and she laid her eggs and she started feeding her babies, and we got to watch them today. So you may not be good at it in the beginning. You may make a really bad nest, but you've got to make one because your babies are going to have to go somewhere. But you will need to know how to fly out of the nest yourself so you can teach your team, teach your employees, teach your customers, teach the people that need to know how to be independent about that. Let me share a little bit about the format. We wanted to give you 3 topics, 3 high-level subjects, talking points tonight to think about. Then we'd like to invite you. This may not be the exact moment, but I just wanted to share the format with you because I see a few people hopped on. And if you have any questions or you're just hopping on now, you might be wondering why are we here in this group? Then we have a private dining room that we invite you to, our private Zoom room, and you can come and ask us questions there. So if you are a great listener, introvert or shy, or a loud introvert, but still don't want to ask any questions, we provide you with part 2, which would mean that you can come into our room and ask us questions. But if you're here right now, before I even say anything, if you're here right now and you want to ask us anything, by all means, put your question, put your question in the chat. So if you put a Q, we know it's a question. So that way we know to answer it. And if you're shy or an introvert, you want to ask us privately, Lori will give you some more details. But of course, Lori, if you have some more comments to make, by all means. I just saw some people hopped in, so I wanted to cover that.
Yes, absolutely. And so one other thing that I wanted to say too on the, don't quit before you win is also think about, going back to the children philosophy, when you're teaching your child to walk, right? They didn't walk the first time, right? They fall down. That's why they make diapers, right? Because they give extra cushion back there. That's why God put extra cushion back there, right? So they fall down a lot, right? But when you were that age, did you go, forget this walking thing, I'm done, I'm over it, just carry me the rest of my life, right? Or did you say, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna try this walking thing again? And pretty soon, after you might have fell 100, 500 times, you're walking pretty good. You could even start running, right? And so the same thing in business, you might fall down. You might fall down a lot. But each time you do, you learn what to do better. You get your lessons from that, and you move forward and you try it again.
I love that. It's not even about don't give up. It's not even about don't quit. It's about persevere.
Yes, exactly. And then another thing, like Catherine just talked about, our coaching group. So once again, gratitudegirls.com/coaching if you want to learn more. But one huge thing is get a coach to help coach you through, especially if you're doing your sales process on Zoom. You can record it and then you could send it to us to review it for you, and then do a private coaching session with you to tell you some tips of what you might have done better, right? So that way you can take notes and you can learn how to critique yourself to become better. So the next time you present to someone, you're going to get better. And then the next time you present to someone, you get better. So that's one of the really great things from this COVID stuff, is that a lot of people are doing their sales presentations on Zoom, and you can record those, send that directly to your coach, and then schedule a private session with us. And with us, you get 2 coaches for the price of 1, right? And so Catherine and I both have a lot of the similar backgrounds, but we also have a lot of different backgrounds in different areas. So different strengths that to come at you to show you different ways that you could move forward and get better.
I love that. And if you're wondering, how am I going to send you a video? Well, you can sit in front of your Zoom account, push record. Remember where that recording goes when you save it, so you know where to go find it in your computer, whether you put it in your Dropbox or your downloads or wherever it goes. Or you can record yourself on your phone and send it to us. But if you are using Zoom, if you are using Zoom, you can figure out how to push that record button and send it to us. Check it out first, look at it, and then let us know how many minutes it is, and tell us that you'd like us to give you some information on that. I think that's an excellent idea, Lori. I think everybody should try that. Just send it to us and ask us for our quick review. If you don't want, a whole month of training, take 1 hour of training with us, and we'll give you enough feedback in that 1 hour that you'll be able to go out and improve what you're currently doing, and perhaps teach your team to improve with it. So think about how that can duplicate itself. I love when we high level talk about these topics, and money is such a good subject. Everybody should really think about talking about money more. And what I mean is, talk to your team about their relationship, talk to your customers, ask the question. Look at Lori and I, we just love opening up the door. So there's nothing that you can't throw at us so far that we would not be willing to discuss. throw a question in the chat, get with us privately, personally. I guess we could tell people how to go find that group, but you can't join it. There's a little bit of a workaround. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, Lori, how people can join us in that group?
Yeah, definitely. So if you go to gratitudegirls.com/coaching, it tells you all the information there, how you can join the group. Basically, it's $97 a month. Or if you want to, most of you know that Catherine and I are both in a company called Send Out Cards. And if you sign up for the $97 a month package or one of the higher ones to build your business, then we allow you to come into our group for free. So it's just an extra perk we do. So you can sign up with Catherine or with me, whichever one introduced you to this group or whichever one of us you connect with. Either way, we both share all the love. So
Yes.
Even though we're on opposite teams, we work together in that way. So either way, if you're interested in that. And, one other thing I thought of just now, I was thinking, when you talk about money, a lot of us have, things from our childhood, right, that are holding us back. So think about your parents. Did your parents talk to you about money? Did you know how much your parents made? Did you know how much your parents paid for a house note or their electric bill? If you went out for a family dinner, did you know how much that cost? If you asked them, did they go over it with you? Did they teach you? Or did they say, you don't need to know about that right now, or it's not polite to ask people about their money? So if you've been ingrained this in your head, it's not polite to ask people about their money. And then here you are in sales, you're an entrepreneur, and you have to ask people for money or ask about their financial situation, especially if you're a financial advisor, right? Then you have to ask people about their financial situation, and you're not comfortable with that. It's going to cause you problems. If you do have younger children at home, one thing I highly recommend is talk to your kids about money. Yes, you can tell them very strictly, these numbers do not go outside these four walls. I talk to my kids about that a lot. And honestly, I didn't tell my kids all of what I make, but I did talk to them a lot about what I made. When I would get actual checks in the mail before direct deposit, it would go on my desk. My kids would see it. I have my budget book right here. It goes on my desk. It has my house payment, the electric, water, gas, everything I pay each month goes right here. So I know exactly what I'm spending. I know if I didn't, which granted most of our bills are on automatic now anyway, but back in the day they weren't, right? And if I didn't get a bill in the mail, then if I didn't have this list, I might not pay it. Well, what if the mail lost my bill? Then my water gets cut off because I didn't get the bill because I didn't realize it was coming. This way I know it's coming, but also I can look. This is a new book. So this book only goes back to January of 2019. But do you know I still have books going back to the 90s and the 80s? And I keep them, but it stays on my desk. So look at how thick this book is. So this book, I just started this new book. I think my last book started in 2000. And so it went almost 10 years.
Wow.
And so with that, one, I can look back and I can see what our average water bill is, what we're spending, right? But also I use it to train my children. So when they grow up and move out into their own homes, I had 3 kids move out into their own homes in the last year. But they got to, I went over this budget book with them. I pushed them to make their own budget book when they get into their place, not to only rely on the digital as much as I'm a digital fanatic, but you need to train your children to be comfortable with money and to know what things cost. It's okay that they know that, our dinner, I told my kids, our dinner for our anniversary night, granted, we went to this amazing, amazing restaurant out at Del Coronado Hotel in Coronado Island in California. for our anniversary. And so it was a super nice place. It was over $800 a night for the room. And our dinner at the resort there was literally the best dinner I've ever had in my entire life. I mean, it was so amazing. But it was also the bill with tip and without alcohol was $250. So it came with a nice price tag for 2 people. It was quite a bit, but it was so good. Like I literally talked about wanting to go back there the next night, but we didn't. We went somewhere else that was a little bit more economical. But I talked to my kids about that, you know. Now, honestly, I've never spent that much money on a meal for 2 people in my life. Now, it's easy to spend that when you take the whole family out, right? But, you know, for just 2 people, that's not normal. But I still talk to my kids about that. It was our very first anniversary. We didn't get to have a honeymoon thanks to COVID, right? So this was the first time we got to go out. And even though we still had to wear a mask on the way to the restaurant, walking to the table, even though it was outside on the beach. But, you know, but still there's different things that you can talk to your kids about to make them feel comfortable. And that's it. You don't have to say everything about your personal finances, but you can be honest with your children about some things. So that way they don't have these holdbacks as they get older, especially if they do go into sales.
And Lori, I love that you're talking about that because we can speak to our spouses. If you're in a relationship where you're holding back, no judgment. But imagine if you weren't. Imagine if you weren't in the dark in your relationship about money. Imagine if your partner, your spouse, the person that you share your home with was really upfront with you and you were really upfront with them. Letting that person know how you feel about what you are making and your goals and what you're saving for. Imagine a day in the life of open communication where money is not a subject you avoid. We invite you to think about that because that could truly be the best piece of advice we could give you tonight. Communicate about money. It's not a secret. It doesn't have to be a secret. You could keep it in the 4 walls that you're in. And like Lori said earlier, if you want to have a little bit of a different perspective on that, or you want to make a huge change, hire a coach. And that way you can take that step. Lori, I'm looking at the time. We can go in our Zoom room if we want for a few minutes, if there are any private questions. Should we do that?
Yes, definitely. So we will continue the talk next week because the 2 tips went over a little bit. So our 3rd tip is the robot salesperson. So we will talk about that next week. And yeah, so we invite you to come into our Zoom room. Those of you that are not in our private coaching, if you're listening to this call tonight, because Facebook had a glitch, you get to come into our private Zoom room if you'd like to. So just go to Zoom and click on ID and type in Laurie Delk, all lowercase, no spaces, LAURIEDELK. And we will see you there. We are in our Zoom room for about 20 minutes. And so we invite you to come hang out with us and talk to us and get some extra off the record private coaching and training.
I love that. Thank you.